Our Parsha this week recounts the story of the flood, in which God destroys the corrupted world and begins mankind again with Noah. The narrative opens with the words, Ele toldot Noach, these are the generations of Noah. This formula is often used in the Torah to introduce genealogies. We would therefore expect this introductory phrase to be followed by a list of Noach's children. However, the text instead recounts Noach's qualifications. Ish tzaddik tamim haya. He was a righteous and a wholesome man. The introduction, these are the generations of Noach, doesn't seem to fit with what follows. Why are we introduced to our protagonist with such a seemingly random phrase? Chazal were also bothered by this question. In search of an answer, they cite a verse from Sefer Iyov, which reads, He is swift upon the face of the waters, their portion is cursed in the earth. He turns not by way of the vineyards. The Gemara in Sanhedrin records an interpretation of Rabbi Yossi from Caesarea, who aligns each part of this verse with the rebuke that Noach attempted to give to the people of his generation. He warned them, if you don't repent, God will bring a flood upon you and float your corpses in the water. This parallels the first part of the verse from Iyov, he is swift upon the face of the waters. The next part, their portion is cursed on earth, corresponds with the warning Noach gave them that they will be cursed. The Gemara then attempts to explain the last part of the verse, he turns not by way of the vineyards, by saying that while Noach spoke to them, the people were clearing a path through a vineyard. This last part of the interpretation is a little confusing. Why were the people of Noach's generation clearing a path through the vineyard? What does that have to do with Noach's rebuking them and their impending doom? This last line seems so incongruous with the rest of Rabbi Yossi's statement that the Gra actually believes it should be deleted from the Talmud. The Midrash Rabbah, however, provides a beautiful explanation of this puzzling passage. The fact that while Noach rebuked them, the people of his generation were chopping a path through a vineyard was emblematic of their sinfulness. They had no purpose in cutting down the vegetation, states the Midrash. They were acting destructively just because, with no rhyme or reason. Noach, in contrast, cared about the future. While the people around him acted wantonly and abused the earth, vineyards included, Noach was a person who wanted growth and improvement. This is why, concludes the Midrash, Noach is first introduced with the phrase, these are the generations of Noach. This was his primary qualification for being the person to restart the world. More than his righteousness, more than his wholesomeness, Noach cared about future generations. He wanted to have children and see them flourish, and therefore he strove to leave the world a better place than when he found it. Right now, our world feels full of destructive behavior, from wanton disregard for public health and safety to the systematic breakdown of our trust in the democratic and electoral process. It might feel like that which took years, decades, and even generations to grow is being violently chopped down. What can we do about it? Our tradition tells us we can be like Noach. We can think towards and prioritize our long-term future. We can ask ourselves, how can we build a better world, not for us, but for our children? Focusing on a vision of the world that we want to leave for future generations might enable us to rise above our current ruinous surroundings. This week, Noach shows us the power of imagining a better future and how doing so motivates us to live better lives today.